This song from the late 70s did the impossible. It turned a dance floor flex into a survival code. It took a band under pressure, bent a movie around their sound, and locked a rhythm so steady people still use it to keep a heartbeat on track. The engine driving that rhythm wasn't a live drummer at all. It was something stranger, scrappier, and smarter. The Bee Gees didn't just craft a hit. They bottled survival into a beat. Three brothers, already famous and already bruised by fame, get a call. There's a film brewing about Brooklyn nights. Ambition squeezed into one weekend window, mirror ball hope, storefront grit. The producers want songs with the stubborn strut of a city that refuses to bow, not soft-focus romance, but a pulse. The brief is messy. The film hangs on a magazine piece that sells a rough-and-tumble dream of disco culture. Mood accurate, facts shaky. Later, that article would be called out as heavily embellished, but in the moment, nobody pauses to litigate it. The Bee Gees understand the assignment. If the movie leans on myth, the music can supply the truth. They write like they're building rebar. Even the title problem circles back to them. The working name is flat, Saturday Night. The brothers have a new track called Night Fever, and they lean on it. The producers bend. The film's identity shifts toward the song's temperature, finally landing on Saturday Night Fever. The Bee Gees aren't just providing a soundtrack, they're steering the ship. And under everything, the theme that will define the record surfaces: survival. Clawing forward when the weak tries to bury you. They can feel it forming, but the way they capture that heartbeat is the real story. And they're about to need a miracle that doesn't look like one. They decamp to a chateau outside Paris. Quiet walls, long halls, a stairwell with cathedral echo. It sounds glamorous. It isn't. It's tax exile and privacy and work. Guitars in hands, pens tapping notebooks, melodies tossed around until one refuses to leave the room. You can hear that stairwell in the writing. The words aren't champagne and silver suits. They are grit, sirens, rent due, a voice choosing not to crack. Life going nowhere. The line doesn't whine, it challenges. The vocal rides high and fearless, then dips for a single human second. Somebody help me. And suddenly the confidence feels earned. The mask slips just enough to reveal the weight behind the grin. They test lines on the stairs because the echo tells the truth. If a phrase feels strong in the stairwell, it will thunder on tape. Verse by verse, the story sharpens. A man walking through a city that could swallow him, refusing to be swallowed. No mythic rescue, no magic trick, just rhythm and nerve. But words alone don't move bodies. They need a groove that refuses to wobble. That's when real life barges in. Mid-sessions, their drummer must leave for a family emergency. Not creative drama, real life that hushes a studio. Deadlines don't care. The film doesn't care. The world keeps asking for the song. Replacement auditions would blow the schedule. Hope is thin. So the team makes a choice that looks reckless and turns out perfect. Co-producers Albie Galutin and Carl Richardson go mining through earlier takes in search of a pocket that won't flinch. They find it: 2 clean bars, the kind of groove that stays steady even when the room shakes. And instead of gambling on a new player, they build a loop, old school and physical. Tape measured by the armful, threaded through machine heads, stretched around mic stands like a racetrack held together by tension and gravity. That loop becomes the boss of the room. It never tires, never rushes, never panics. A heartbeat that doesn't breathe, so you can. Guitars learn its stride, bass locks its shoulders to it. Hand claps snap like turnstiles. Strings don't smear, they sharpen edges. The brothers layer harmonies as if they're bolting steel girders across a street. The record stops being about parts and starts being about inevitability. This beat goes forward, and everything either serves that momentum or gets out. That's the technical miracle. The human one is simpler. When life pulled a player away, the music adapted, the groove survived. And the in-joke that followed turned the whole industry into a punchline, because now people start asking for a drummer who doesn't exist. They credit the drummer as Bernard Lupe. It's a wink, half tribute, half prank. It works too well. Managers call around. Who is this Bernard Lupe? Can we book him? Session sheets circulate. The room laughs because the point isn't the name, it's the philosophy. On tape, what matters is not who played it, but whether the groove survives stress. Meanwhile, the Bee Gees practice a fierce kind of restraint. Barry rides the falsetto like a wire walker. Robin threads a keen, yearning line underneath. Morris solders the harmony so nothing rattles. The rhythm guitars tick and scratch with urban precision. The bass doesn't grandstand, it steadies the ground. Every element has a job. Anything that doesn't push the feeling forward is gone. That's why there's air in the track, space to hear your own footsteps inside the song. This is how the record sells the story. The beat doesn't beg for attention, it insists on momentum. The lyric refuses to romanticize the grind. The voice performs courage on purpose, and that one chest voice drop tells you the bravado isn't free. It costs something. That honesty supercharges the swagger. The film team hears it and pivots. Trailers start leaning on the track. Scenes begin to orbit the groove. And when audiences hear a fragment, they want the whole thing, which is when the phones light up. Radio programmers get swamped with requests off the trailer alone. The single lands. Cautious stations flip fast. The record is suddenly everywhere. Corner stores, roller rinks, bodegas, taxicabs. Windows open to sticky night air. Then the charts admit what the sidewalks already know. It hits number 1 and refuses to move. For a stretch, only one family can dethrone the Bee Gees. The Bee Gees, or their younger brother. A song about not breaking becomes unbreakable commercially. The impact isn't just numbers, it's posture. People start dressing like the record sounds. Clean lines, long collars, that signature walk, hips forward, chin level, a glance that says move. The movie doesn't merely use the song, it times itself to it, edits snap on the snare. Even silence feels like it's keeping count. Pop culture does what it always does when something gets huge. It throws a little shade. Some roll their eyes at disco. Some call falsetto a stunt. The track shrugs and keeps walking. Even guitar bands that swear they hate it quietly steal its pocket for their own singles. That's power. When skeptics start borrowing your engine. But the most surprising chapter is waiting just around the corner. The song is about staying alive. Then it starts helping people do exactly that. This is where the beat leaves the dance floor. Instructors notice the tempo. It sits in the sweet spot for chest compressions. Strong, steady, not rushed. It's easy to count along to when adrenaline is frying your brain and the room feels sideways. Classes pick it up. Public campaigns reference it. A sitcom burns it into collective memory so deeply that even people who claim to hate disco still hum the chorus when the moment matters. That's the poetic echo. The record was forged in a crisis that pulled the drummer away. The solution was a loop that doesn't tire, and that solution quietly coded a survival tool into the track. Years later, the exact steadiness that kept the song calm under pressure helps real people keep their nerve when seconds count. The lyric says it first, the tempo proves it second. Listen to those opening bars with that in mind. They aren't just style, they're instructions disguised as a groove. Keep your pace, don't rush, don't stop, stick to the count. The Bee Gees wrote a mantra for endurance and, by accident or fate, designed it to teach endurance. It's art that moonlights as a metronome. And even that isn't the end of the story, because there's a deeper reason the record refuses to fade. On paper, Stayin' Alive should be a time capsule. Late 70s strings, tight hi-hat, city strut. People love to shelve that era under retro. Yet this track won't stay boxed. It survives because it runs on a paradox. The music struts while the lyric confesses. The voice sounds untouchable while the words admit pressure. The beat says don't flinch while the melody lets a little pain through. That tension creates electricity. It's the spark you feel when someone grins at you with tired eyes. And the grin feels more honest because of the fatigue behind it. Every creative choice underlines that theme. The loop means no panic in the foundation. The falsetto means courage as performance. The single drop to chest voice means truth under the show. The harmonies mean family as armor. Even the phantom drummer credit reads like a fable. When life pulls a player away, the work adapts and the groove persists. New listeners keep finding it without irony. Teens bump into it on short clips and grin. Gym speakers love it because the cadence just works. DJs drop it into sets that don't touch the 70s, and the floor still rises. That isn't nostalgia, it's physics. The song clicks gears in your brain that say forward. When a record does that, it doesn't need permission to outlive its decade. Which brings us to the band itself. how they were able to make this under pressure and why the pressure made it better. Before this song, the Bee Gees had already ridden one wave. Lush ballads, Baroque touches, big hooks built for a different moment, tastes turned, momentum drifted. Reinvention wasn't optional, it was survival. They found a new lane in groove-forward writing, but that path could have buckled under deadlines and noise. Instead, pressure sharpened them. In that French chateau, they acted like engineers as much as artists. No drummer, build the heartbeat. Title flat, aim the film at your song. Vocal shape not landing? Carve one human drop so the high notes feel earned. These aren't accidents. They're choices made at speed by people who trust their ears. The platinum glow that followed, posters on walls, tickets gone in minutes, plaques stacking, stands on a base of practical decisions made when time was short and the stakes were high. That's the quiet lesson wrapped in the glitter. Reinvention isn't a montage. It's a chain of stubborn solutions. The Bee Gees didn't wait for a perfect situation. They used the cracks. They made the cracks part of the design. That's why the record feels stronger than it looks. It was built under stress, it remembers, and how the world received it, the flood of airplay, the film bending to fit, the medical twist, only confirmed what the record had already decided to be, a manual for forward motion disguised as a dance song. So, what's left when you strip away the sequence? Stayin Alive works because it admits the fight while refusing to surrender the smile. It was born fast, inside a maze of deadlines and real-life detours. It solved a studio crisis with a tape loop and turned that fix into a groove that carries half the planet when they need to feel taller. It made a movie stronger, it made a decade louder. And in the quietest, scariest rooms, the ones where a steady hand and a steady count can change everything, it became a practical tool. It's still doing the job. Every time those first bars hit, 1,000 tiny choices line up and move. Keep pace, keep breath, keep nerve. The Bee Gees didn't set out to write a medical metronome. They set out to write a song that wouldn't blink. The miracle is that they did both. So if you peel back the swagger, what remains is simple. A band under pressure, a loop that wouldn't tire, a lyric that tells the truth without breaking the spell, a city that tries to swallow you, and a voice that says calmly and a little cocky, not today. That's how the Bee Gees bottled survival into a disco beat. And that's why, decades later, the song doesn't just play in the background of our lives, it marches beside us, step for step, reminding anyone who needs to hear it, keep moving, keep counting, keep staying alive. Before you head out, if this deep dive gave the song a new edge, tap like. It helps the groove find more ears. Hit subscribe and ring the bell for more untold stories behind era-defining tracks. Drop a comment with the moment that surprised you most, or the next music myth you want cracked. Until then, keep your pace, keep your nerve, and keep staying alive.